I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain. We bag enough. I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain. We bag enough. Poppin' tan model BC couldn't brag 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 enough. I guess I didn't swag enough. Stupid fruity pebble chain.
And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and joining me, it's been a while, man. We haven't actually done one of these together, one of the regular podcasts together in a while. It's Jim Saro.
Bob, welcome back to the regular version of the Horizon Roundtable. We missed you in your absence. We had some great fill-in guests, but it's good to have the leader of the captain of the ship back with us. So let's do this. Let's talk Horizon League basketball.
That's right. And Jim, you can find on Twitter at Jim Saro. You can find us on the web at horizonroundtable.com. You can find links to all of our social media accounts and sites where podcasts are available at horizonroundtable.com/subscribe. You can actually also sign up for our email alerts on that particular page. By the way, I didn't add Reddit on there. We're on Reddit now for those of you who are Reddit inclined. And I'm pretty sure I haven't added that to the list, but I'll add it at some point. But that we are on Reddit. So become a patron, patreon.com/Horizon Roundtable. I was going to say you get early access to the power rankings. I just did the last one, but you're going to get exclusive access to the features we're going to have in the off season. We're doing that again this year. So you're definitely going to be able to, you'll definitely be able to enjoy those. So go to go to patreon.com/Horizon Roundtable. And of course, come donate to us at horizonroundtable.com/donate. And Jim, I have to ask, how was sunny Palm Springs?
Well, I went on a golf trip, and I'm not like super into golf, so I did the best I could with what I had to work with, and I had a great time, I think. But I'm happy to be back and more focused on basketball than golf.
Yeah, because you missed a lot, man. You missed that we have a new commissioner. Everybody's suing everybody at IU Indy. Doug Gottlieb got suspended for no good reason at all. You missed a lot.
Well, as the Horizon Roundtable coined the phrase, Horizon gonna Horizon, and I think that applies to every single topic that you just brought up.
Which, incidentally, I'm glad you brought up, because guess who said? Because Emeka Okafor. Actually, I had to double check this. Emeka Okafor was doing color with Jordan Burnfield, friend of the podcast. He actually said a variation of Horizon's Gonna Horizon on the air during the Wright State Robert Morris game. So you cannot tell me that Emeka Okafor has never visited our site, never listened to our podcast. He's lurking.
You know
That's
what?
I'm sticking to it.
Until proven otherwise, you can't tell me that he is or isn't. So by that rationale, he is. So
let's get into the games. Again, all that other stuff. I guess I should ask you about the new commissioner, since I didn't get a chance to ask you about it since you weren't here.
Yeah, well, it's a sore subject, so I just wanted to, avoid it all I could. But all kidding aside,
by the way, I will say this, because she doesn't start until April. Everybody who's mad that the conference suspended Doug Gottlieb is probably mad at her, even though she's not going to be here for 2 months.
You know what? There's no better way to start than off the wrong foot. Everybody tells you to start on the right foot. But look, where does that get most people? It just gets us average. So start on the wrong foot for once and see what happens. But all kidding aside, I think it's just good to have the search behind the league, just and have the direction. The people that I talk to that are in the know on this, said that she is super intelligent, super energetic, and that she wants to be an advocate and have a in-person presence at the campus, with the campus leaders. And so I think that the people who make this decision, they're jacked up about it. Now, the other group of people that's jacked up about it are the fans of the St. Joseph Hawks, because apparently
I did make mention of that, by the way. Never
Yeah, they don't
seen a
seem.
group of fans so happy to see somebody leaving my life.
Yes. So, but I think the big thing here, and this is my bottom line on it, is that being an athletic director does not necessarily mean that you will be great in the commissioner chair. It doesn't mean you'll be bad at it either. I actually think they're like two separate activities, really.
Yes.
Like the commissioner is, involved in all of those things, but they're not, boots on the ground day over day thinking
No.
about, NIL or the compliance that, for, the athletic department or, the GPA. Those are high level things that the league is, thinking about and helping guide, but they're not, boots on the ground with that stuff. So I feel like, whether they liked her at St. Joe's or not, it doesn't mean she's going to be good or bad at.
I don't know if it even matters, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. It's a totally different job. What
Yeah.
does matter, though, is, I think that the energy and the intelligence that she has, impressed everybody with.
Sure.
Those are things that are going to transcend. You think of some of the great leaders, in the business world, they're people with high energy and they're super smart, and they get the other people that are needed to do the, some of the other work that's necessary to grow the league. So I'm excited, I suppose, now that I've had a little time to digest and think about it. But with that all said, we have questions that need to be answered as fans of this league. And,
You mentioned that, Jim, because I already put the request to interviewer in. Yeah. Come on. Of course I was going to do that. That's like the first. I think I did that 5 minutes.
So what day did she start?
April 15th. April 15th. Yes, that is correct.
So April 15th. So like basically, she's, the way I see it, there's no lunch break for her on the 15th and straight to the Horizon Roundtable. Get her on the hot seat right away.
Hey, there you go. It works for me. I'm hoping that this happens. I know there was a bit of a lag between when Julie Rolash was hired when we got her actually on the podcast, but hopefully that lag doesn't happen this time. So, but yeah, but of course we have everybody on. That's what we do, man. Well, just about everybody.
Just about everybody.
Just about everybody. So let's kind of so now that we got that out of the way, guys, I'm not going to talk about the whole everybody's suing everybody.und. Go to horizonroundtable.com. We've got all the legal documents there. Pour through them. Just do it. I mean, yeah. So if we have anything new, I'm sure we'll post that too. Never, I never thought this is the Horizon Roundtable, not Law and Order NCAA. Much as it does happen sometimes.
Who's the guy that created Law and Order? Dick something or other?
Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf. Yep. Yes. It's his next, $100 million idea is all, Law and Order.
NIL. Yeah.
all, you know what?
Put
it on the CW or something.
It'll be like football players suing for a 9th year or something like that.
Yeah. We can take this down a rabbit hole, but let's not. Let's focus on
Let's focus on this. And I really did think that. I really thought we're going to talk about Wright State winning the regular season championship and the 1 seed. That didn't happen. Robert Morris made sure that didn't happen. And Robert Morris is the only team who could theoretically get the 1 seed over Wright State. They got the tiebreaker. If they win out and Wright State loses out, the
little sweep is going to come in handy there.
Yes, it is. It's kind of funny how that all happened. Yeah, Wright State did not start out well. I mean, Wright State, IU Indy gave Wright State headaches during that game, and things did not go well for them on national television against Robert Morris. Yeah, they fought back, but I mean, at the end of the day, Robert Morris basically did almost exactly, maybe a little better, what they did to Wright State against them in Moon Township. And you gotta admit, the scary teams in this conference are just about all of them. Because I feel like anybody can beat anybody at this point because it's the Horizon League and chaos reigns. Reigns, Jim.
It does rain, and you make a really good point because right now, you have Wright State sitting, in a position where the likelihood of winning the league championship is high. And then you have teams 2 through, I would say 6, which, cover all the way to
Oh, no.
Fort Wayne.
Yeah,
There's more.
actually,
Northern Kentucky is the one that you're looking at there going, I'm not 100% sure where they fall in this. But then you have the 8th place team, Youngstown, finally getting their footing and playing some good basketball. Yep. So,
well,
and
that's the thing. It's crazy because you don't know what Northern Kentucky you're getting this year. It's kind of weird because you got games where they do awesome, and then games where they're just not in it. And that's what happened with them against Youngstown.
Yeah.
And Youngstown State did what they needed to do. This is not a team that wants to play in a 10-11 game. That is for sure. That's probably Cleveland State, but we'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
But yeah, but those two, but you look at Northern Kentucky, and it's like, and I actually posted this up across our socials that before Sunday's game, there was a scenario where we could have a 6-way tie for second place, Jim. We're down to 5 now, but still. So to your point of 2 through 6, yeah, 2 through 6 could theoretically all finish 12 and 8. Yikes.
That would be a mess. That would be a mess.
Of course it would be a bit, but if there's any better definition of Horizon's Gun Horizon, 5-way tie for 5th place. Which, by the way, given all the tiebreakers, given all the tiebreakers, it looks like the tiebreakers would go to Oakland.
But
I don't know if it's going to come. I don't know. I legitimately do not know if that's going to come down. I legitimately don't know if it'll come down to that. I mean, because we got a lot of stuff on tap that I don't know. Because Oakland's going to want revenge on IU Indy. Because, yeah, in order for the 5-way tie to be the scenario to come true, for Purdue Fort Wayne would have to sweep the week, which includes beating Wright State would include beating Wright State. And it would also include Oakland going 1-1. Actually, Oakland going 1-1. I think yes, Oakland going 1-1. Detroit going 1-1. Yeah, well, I have it. Yes, it's like I know what I said. Now I can't remember what I said because I'm terrible at this. Yeah, I keep saying never. I keep saying not to do this every year, and yet every year I do this. Like seriously. So yeah, Oakland and Robert Morris have to go one. So in order for the 5-way tie to happen, Oakland and Robert Morris have to go 1-1. But Oakland has to be. Oakland would. Yeah, Oakland would have to lose to Detroit Mercy, and Robert Morris would have to beat Detroit Mercy.
Well, and the way Robert Morris is playing on a 5-game heater right now, I think it's fair to say that all the tiebreaker scenarios aren't going to matter much if they keep playing the way that they're playing.
Well, that's okay, because guess who's right behind them nipping at their heels? Detroit Mercy. I didn't think Detroit Mercy. I mean, as you know, I was preseason. I was extremely high on Detroit Mercy. I didn't think Clash of the Titans between Robert Morris and Detroit Mercy, a game on Wednesday, and we'll talk about this during the preview podcast. I didn't think that game was going to have as many implications as they do, because if Detroit Mercy beats Robert Morris, guess what? The 5-way tie is still on, but also Wright State doesn't have to do anything. They can lose out the rest of the season, and I don't think they're going to do that, and they would win outright. So all of that is just massively confusing. But yes, Robert Morris is on the heater. They're won 5 games in a row. Detroit Mercy also on a heater, won 4 games in a row. So that's going to be a good game, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to talk a lot more about that on the preview podcast. Oakland needed to win today. Oakland just has had a horrible last couple of weeks. They lost 4 games in a row. Milwaukee gave them all that they need, all they could handle, and Oakland finally pulled away. Oakland's another weird one. Like, this is a team that I really thought was going to do a lot better and just didn't. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're down to 7 people to play, and that's kind of a staple for Oakland Golden Grizzly basketball. They
Running out of gas. Although this time
early
yeah,
they go to their guys early, and then there's some there's going to be injuries and things that will happen along the way, and unfortunately for them, they very shorthanded, very talented,
of course they are.
supremely very well coached team, but just
Sure.
dealing with that injury bug. But fortunately for them, the injury bug has been, it got missing Garrett for a couple games is big because he's probably an all conference player in this league, but they got him back. So they didn't lose anybody, of their main guys permanently. I know
Sure.
they lost Mashur permanently, but I wouldn't say he's, if you're looking at their starting 5, with him, he's the 5th guy on the depth chart there in terms of who
Sure.
people are scouting. So I feel like the thing that's going to help them in the Horizon League tournament is everybody's going to have a short rotation, and they have still the top end talent. But I think it's fair to say that not having enough depth to start the season has shown to be an issue here in February for their finish and their regular season aspirations.
That is the problem. And speaking of the depth problem, obviously, when we talk about depth problems, Milwaukee, that's Milwaukee. That's them all over. They lost Faison Fields again. He got hurt again. And this is a Milwaukee team who just has been snake bit with all these injuries. I mean, we've talked about this before. No Lovelace to begin the season. Lose Seth Hubbard, lose Danila Ivanovic, lose Faison Fields has been in and out, and now he's out again. And then others have been out for stretches. CV Elam, I guess Tate McKenzie. The reason we haven't seen him is he is also hurt. And I don't know. I don't know about you, but I think this is definitely turning out to be a season that Bart Lundy would like to forget. And through no fault of his own, because how are you going to keep? I mean, you're playing guys that you probably wouldn't play as much as you usually would. I mean, don't get me wrong; they're decent. They're decent group. It's just the core pieces that you thought you were going to have that were going to shore up a lot of issues didn't materialize, or for no fault of their own, were not available.
Well, no, I think of Milwaukee basketball, you think of some of their offensive style is allowing guys the freedom and creativity to make plays on their own. And a lot of the plays that guys will attempt to make are maybe on the lower percentage side of things for the Horizon League.
Sure.
I think of some of the step back jumpers and things you'll see from an Amar Aguilar. Now, he has the ability to make them, but if he had the ability to make those at a high clip, he wouldn't be in the Horizon League, right? Like that's kind of the underlying issue. And so throughout all of this, what I really appreciate for them is more of a steady hand, and Chandler Jackson has come up out of the issues that they've had.
Well,
and
he wasn't supposed to play this year. He was supposed to redshirt.
And he's had 4 really good games in a row. That IU Indy, he had his career high. He had 20 something against Green Bay. He had 13 against Detroit. He had 25 against Oakland. He's really had an opportunity to step in. And I like the more steady game that he plays as opposed to maybe some of the more difficult things that some of the other players are allowed to do.
Sure. Well, and I think to your point, and that's good that they have that, and it's good they going to have that carryover because if memory serves correct, Chandler Jackson is one of those guys who will be back next year, as will Dixon, as will Stevie Elam, those guys. I guess the big thing that they're going to have to rebuild really is they're going to have to rebuild up front. They're just going to have to do that because it has been that has been a major Achilles heel for Milwaukee this season. And they absolutely need to, and that's definitely, I'm sure that's something they're definitely going to address in the offseason for sure.
Well, and they had a great game from Sekou Kona, against Oakland. He had 13 and 11. So there's a piece, but you look at a Tate McKenzie, maybe a little too slow of a player on his feet for the style that they want to play. I mean, he's a huge body, maybe just a mismatch in systems. So yeah, I think you're going to, and with Faison, being at the end of his career, they definitely need to, find some steady pieces to complement Danilo.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and Sekou Kona next year. But they have in the case of
Are they
Milwaukee,
getting to? Are they gonna get Ivanovic back next year?
I believe they would get him back. I don't.
I know he's a
Is he?
senior, so I don't know if he's come. I don't know if they would they. I think he's played too many games. I think he might be. We might not see him again.
So he played that year. He was at Miami for a year,
Yeah.
and he played one game. Then he was
Mhm.
at Louisville. Then he came to Milwaukee, and is he in his? He played 2 years at Milwaukee, I believe, or is he in his third year at Milwaukee?
I
If
guess
he's
I don't
if
know.
he's done, that would be a big blow because that's you're losing Fields and Danilo.
Okay, no,
Then
no, you are. I'm sorry, you are correct because he's going to be a redshirt because you are correct. He redshirted his freshman year at Miami,
yeah,
and then he came. He was at Louisville. Spent last year here, and then
yep,
he was dealing with injuries then too, if I recall correctly, because we didn't see him much until kind of the second half of the season. So yes, he will be back. Theoretically, he'll be back next year. So yeah, let's not forget.
yep.
Oh yeah, Simeon Murchison also not in the also hurt. So
Hmm.
like yeah, all these guys, and it's like all these guys that they could be using and they don't get a chance to do so. So I
Yeah,
mean that's going to be again, to your point, something that they'll take into account next year, and I'm sure that theoretically they'll be able to get to, take care of. Um, Want to talk about Detroit Mercy again. I kind of touched upon them a little, mostly to say that I'm not crazy. I saw something in Detroit Mercy in the preseason, and I'm glad to be proven right on this. Though maybe
yeah. They're
not
really
in the
coming.
way that I thought.
They're coming on strong. They were dead in the water there. They had lost those 2 games at home in
They were one. They
January.
started the game and won it. I think they were 1-6 to start the season, if I'm not mistaken.
They were one to start the season. They were bad, but in conference play, they were doing okay. Then they got
Mhm.
stalled out in January, and now they're on their 4 game win streak. And even then, they won. They lost to Green Bay. They'd won before that as well. So they've been playing much better basketball.
Yeah,
Obviously, when you think about this weekend, they were at home. They had the 2 Wisconsin teams come in. They got a sweep, which is huge for them. They shot the
yeah,
ball really well against Milwaukee. They were 54, 48, and 81 from shooting, but it was a highly concentrated. They had 81 of their 91 points were from 4 dudes. So they just had their main pieces have big games. Against Green Bay, it was all Lovejoy. I mean,
yeah.
yes, they out
Oh,
rebounded Green Bay,
absolutely.
but by 6. Those were on the offensive. They were +4 offensive rebounding, but
I'm only
Lovejoy
disappointed
was.
he hasn't done. I'm only disappointed he hasn't done this more often, or else the hashtag love poi. And by the way, I'd like to point out, Jim, the hashtag you've wanted Horizon Boy to use, love poi, which by the way he has been using. Horizon Boy is not the only one using it.
Oh, who
Horizon Boy
else
is
was?
not. Tyler Spratt. He used the hashtag love poi love poi on one of his IG stories to after the game
I love it.
against Green Bay. Against Green Bay. But Tyler Spratt, he's on board with hashtag love poi.
Love Boy is so good, in terms of a hashtag, but
Sadly, I don't think it's gonna happen, but
it can't.
because
He had a
it's
game where he went scoreless. I
yeah,
actually, in fact, I think it
I
was in
know.
December. I said you
Yeah,
can't be the player of the year with a scoreless game in
yeah.
out of 20. But when you
You know
think
who's
about
good?
it,
Yeah,
he was just so good. He was really good. And Green Bay
yeah.
didn't have the foot speed to slow him down and
No,
stay in front of him. And it didn't matter if it was Preston Rieger. It didn't matter if it was CJ O'Hara. Those are 2 usually really good on the ball defenders for Green Bay.
sure.
Justin Allen, who's hit or miss but can be a good defender. None of those 3 guys were able to contain Lovejoy in any way, shape, or form. And then, I know I'm a bit of a homer with this, but then he was getting some of the softest touch fouls in the world called in his favor. So he's turning everything into an and one. It's like, dude's got he's got his off arm, on the defender the whole time, and then he gets a little bump on the hip at the end,
Sure.
and suddenly that's a foul. It's like, it's not a foul. Just give him his 2 points and let's keep moving on with our
It's
day here.
like they were it's like they were goading Gottlieb to get suspended again.
Well,
I'm sorry.
they're going to get me suspended from the Horizon Roundtable podcast because I was, displeased.
Sorry, the only person who has the authority to do that is me. And do you really think I'm going to do that? Come on.
Yeah, fair
Come
enough.
on.
But we have to give them their
By the
due.
way,
They had,
by the way, I gotta stop doing that too. By the way,
yeah.
I've actually the come on. I actually have a video clip of me doing that, and I'm gonna break that out somewhere. This is what I do with my I don't have I didn't post useful clips, but I'm gonna post clips of me doing weird crap. Sorry guys, that's how I roll.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that's what the internet was created for, is for people to post video of themselves doing weird things. There's a whole it was a thing it's a little niche website, YouTube. Yeah, that's what it's called. All sorts of people posting weird stuff on there. But yeah, you gotta give Detroit Mercy their due. They had a great week. Youngstown 2-0 this week, had a great week.
They did.
When you look
to your point, Youngstown State finally became the Youngstown State we expected. And again, I mean, there were so many. Youngstown State this year has had so many opportunities to not be 8-10 in the conference, and this was the week that fortune smiled on them, and they were able to do what they needed to do. And
they're playing great at the right time because would they like to be higher than 8th place? For sure.
Oh, sure.
Are they probably going to finish higher than 8th? And this is all said and done, probably 7th. And yet, when you think about if you're just playing your best ball in March in the one bid league and a neutral site, or maybe a neutral site if they get past the first round, there's a really good chance for them to make a run here and get where they need to get to. And I thought it was really impressive the drubbing that they handed Cleveland State. Chris Carroll and Vlad combined for 50 points in that game, and they were 7-10 from deep, and they were money. Those guys were money. That's what you expected Youngstown to be all season, and they started out that way, and now you're kind of having like a bookend season. They were good at the very beginning, now they're good here at the end. In the middle, it was kind of a book you didn't want to read, but they're having a very good finish after a very good start to the season, and play your best ball when it matters most. Conversely, like Cleveland State, they got hot there for a minute. They won 5 in a row in the league.
Yeah, and now they've lost 5 in a row.
Yes, lost 5 in a row. They're at 6-12, and everything that was going right for them is off the rails, and they're just basically back to chucking threes. I mean, if you look at they don't really have a choice in the matter. Dan Nessa has been out. I think he got hurt, a shoulder injury. I think he got hurt, if I'm not mistaken, during the Wright State game. He hurt his shoulder. He's been out the last couple of games, and it just seems like without him, they just basically just fall off the planet. Let me tell you something, Jim. The last 2 games, watching Cleveland State play Youngstown State and then playing Purdue Fort Wayne, I have never wanted a season to be over so quickly. It has not been a good year for the Vikings. It is, I think this is a time, this is one of those times where it's like, let's work on next year. And I'm not even, they just have to win a game. A freaking game. I need Youngstown State to beat Milwaukee. We'll talk about, like I said, we'll talk about that during the preview podcast. Cleveland State needs to win a game. Just one game. Just one game, and they could theoretically not, and they could probably not have to play IU Indy on the Monday, which incidentally, I'm not confident they're going to win. Well, I'll tell you what, from Cleveland State, I know they want to shoot threes, but against Youngstown, 47 of their 65 shots were threes. They followed up with 39 more against Purdue Fort Wayne. And I mean, it's funny because that actually almost worked, because Purdue Fort Wayne almost, frittered away a 20-point lead. Yes. It wasn't working, and then it almost kind of worked. I mean, the only positive you could take for Cleveland State this week is Jaden Lipscomb had a great individual week. He had 52 points this week. Of course. So
Jaden Lipscomb has had a great. But by all accounts, Jaden Lipscomb has had actually a very good year. I think he's had a great year. I
He
think Ice
started
Emery.
slow, but he's come
Ice
on
Emery
strong.
has had a good. I think Ice Emery has had a great year. I'm going to probably catch crap because I think he's my pick for six man of the year. Because I can't figure. I don't know who else there would be for six man of the year. Honestly, it should have been Donovan O'Day, but he's been starting for most of the season. He started for a good too much of the season for me to pick him.
Hmm.
So I don't have a choice. Sorry, guys. I have spoken. I think yeah, it's like that they have players who can produce, but it's like where's the rest of it? Where is the rest of it? And I'm sure they've been asking themselves that same question the entire season. It's like those 5 games that they won, they were able to they were able to produce the rest of it. For the rest of the season, absolutely not. No way, no day. They, dig themselves these holes they can't get out of. Case in point, Purdue Fort Wayne. Purdue Fort Wayne goes up by 20 against them. And then you have to produce some sort of miracle to get back into the game, only to run out of gas and it not and the miracle never materializes, which sounds like Cleveland all over, as I'm sure you know, Jim.
Yes, it's a
The
miracle
miracles
that,
that never materialize.
I say, the only miracle that did materialize was the formation of the city that most people would rather not visit. Oh, I just kid, Bob. Anyway, we talk about Fort Wayne. You talk about Fort Wayne. They got that was Fort Wayne coming off the heels of just getting absolutely rocked by Northern Kentucky. So they got
Yeah.
themselves together, and then had Cleveland State dead to right. And yeah, okay, it's a 6-point game in the end, but it really wasn't that close for most of it. So yeah, it's just a tough way for Cleveland State to come into the finish. IU Indy played this week. They obviously they played the best team or the top team. They gave them a decent game, lost by 12. They couldn't shoot again. They're decent shooting free throws, but they don't get to the line enough to make a difference. And so,
No.
they're on a 4-game losing streak. Cleveland State's on a 5-game losing streak. At the way things are going, that game's going to be in Cleveland on the first Monday of the Rise League tournament, and then we'll see what we get from there. But who else we got to talk about?
I don't want to know, man. I just don't want to know.
Well, I feel like we got to talk about Green. We got to talk about Green Bay for a little bit.
Of course, we gotta talk about Green Bay. Green Bay went into Oakland without Doug Gottlieb and won because
They
apparently
won.
the answer because Doug Gottlieb asked the question to the commissioner, who I'm not sure if he thinks it's actually Jill Bodensteiner, which it is not currently. It is Chris Newman is still the interim. So he did ask the question about the officiating in his press conference after the Milwaukee game, and the answer clearly was, "You're suspended and shut up."
Yeah, I think what got him.
I'm sorry. What other explanation? I'm sorry. I kid the Horizon League. Please send us more money. But good Lord, what other answer can you think of that was, man? Seriously.
It's the fact that he called it out and he said the official's name directly. He called out King Whetstone directly. And
Did
he? Oh yeah. If you watch
I didn't
the whole,
catch that part.
yes, he specifically stated King Whetstone did not, gave him a phantom T that he didn't earn, and then he wouldn't talk
Jimmy
to him the rest of the
Lemke, who has no reason to ever defend Doug Gottlieb because he is a diehard Milwaukee fan, is out here defending, was at the game and could not understand why Jimmy could not understand why Doug Gottlieb got teed up.
I was there sitting in the front row right behind Green Bay's bench, and he definitely, I've seen Doug lose his cool plenty of times. I've seen him, verbally go over a line with an official before.
You're within shouting distance of Chairgate.
Yeah, and he did not say anything inappropriate.
Yeah.
And for the referee, and this is the thing that frustrates me about Doug's suspension, and I'll be closely watching. I watch every box score for this anyway, but I'll be watching every box score
to
see if King Whetstone gets to work in this league again, because last year when Greg Campy went over the line with Josh White. Josh White did not get to work a Horizon League game the rest of that season, and I've not seen Josh White in a box score recently for Horizon League games.
But
And
you
so,
gotta, but again, I mean, to your point. But again, to your point, I knew that Doug Gottlieb was going to get suspended. Greg Campy got suspended last year. Ethan Faulkner, if you remember, Ethan Faulkner also got suspended for not even both of them criticized the officiating. Both of them got suspended last year. I knew that was good. I mean, even Doug knew he was getting suspended because did an interview in the morning he got suspended, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm probably getting suspended."
yeah.
But I mean that is rule number one. You don't if you're a coach, you do not openly criticize the officiating. We are podcast co-hosts. We can openly criticize the officiating until the cows come home. That's the difference.
All right. I'll give you an example. So on the last offensive play where Milwaukee takes the lead, Amar Aguilar comes on a left-hand drive down the lane. Chandler Jackson is like wedging, screening the big man, so it's coming in. And Preston Reeder, I don't think touched him. If he did, he barely touched him, and that's an and one. So then Green Bay comes down on offense, down by one. Or were they down? Did they lose by 3 in that game? Whatever. They're down by 1 or 2.
Yeah, something like that.
So the original play that they had going, Marcus Hall the ball on the wing, Preston goes to back cut on Pippa White, and Pippa White has 2 hands pulling his jersey as Reedinger is going, on what would be an easy catch for a layup. And so there's no call there. Then Reedinger comes back out, gets the ball. Pippa White, Chandler Jackson, and Stevie Elon follow him on one drive. He drew 3 fouls on one drive. And so I understand why Doug is frustrated in that scenario, because there was clearly a touch foul on one end and then 3 touch fouls on the other end, and it wasn't officiated the same way. And that's on the heels of getting a technical foul for something that he didn't even do. So my thing is with this accountability from the league, we cannot see King Whetstone ref another game in this league this season. If we do, then we know the league isn't taking their officiating crisis. And they have a crisis, by the way, with their officiating in terms of the people they let work these games. It's a crisis.
But you know what, Jim? It's funny you mentioned that because you and I have been around long enough to know that they've always had this problem, and for some reason they have never been able to fix it all the way, or ever for that. But remember, the Horizon League is partnered with Officially Human. Oh, don't think I'm not going to bring that up during the tournament.
Yeah. They've tried.
Don't be a jackass to the officials, but come on. I mean, I know why don't be a mutant. Don't be a violent mutant to these guys. It's there's gonna be some sometimes it's a little sketchy, guys. But I will say this once again, as I've always said, and it sucks, but it's true. Play the game to the point where officiating is it's not going to be decided by the officials. I don't know where the hell I got that from. I think I got that from a documentary or something, but it's just stuck with me. So,
when I say they have a crisis in officiating, the issue that I take with this is that they, like, as an example, one of the reasons that I'm under the impression that they play on Sundays so much this year is that there's fewer games. Therefore, why
they're playing all this. You think that's the reason? The reason is they want us to record this podcast at 9:00 at night on the East Coast. Thanks.
Yeah. Yep. There's that, but there's they play on Sundays, and part of that is to get better officials because they're not going up against the Big Ten. But in that particular game that Doug got suspended, one of those officials literally works Division II GLIAC games on a regular basis because I check some of those box scores looking for future Phoenix players, and I see his name in there all the time. So if we're playing on Sundays and we're getting dudes who are working D2 games as their regular shift, what are we doing as a league? That's what I don't get about all this. Don't pay premium prices to get guys who aren't bringing premium effort to the game. And now the league does get some tremendous officials working, just some tremendous people who are awesome,
without a doubt.
Awesome. And
because we see them at the tournament games. We don't see the jabronis.
Yes. When you get a John Floyd and an Amy Bonner and you get, some of these other people who are just, top shelf at working and controlling the game, it's like a thing of beauty. And then when you have some of these knuckleheads, like, calling just the most ridiculous things out of nowhere, and you're like, wait, where have you, like, why do you disappear once March rolls around? You're not working our league, but you can work major games at the end of our season. I hate it. But in Green Bay ran afoul of the officiating today because one guy, Brian Dorsey, called so many of those touch fouls for Orlando Lovejoy. And again, I'm not saying that they're not fouls. I'm just saying that there's inconsistency in the calls, and that's what's so frustrating. If you're calling touch fouls, call them all. If you're going to call them all. Otherwise, don't call any of them. But Green Bay, regardless of that, I think the highlight for Green Bay is they had a 70-year-old coach win a game and then drop an F-bomb on the ESPN feed.
Yes!
So and he didn't get suspended. So
he did not. That's true. He did not carry her up.
Yep.
I continue to forget that I am still I still have to wrap my head around the fact that Kerry Rupp went from being being an assistant coach and to Rick Majerus to spending 2 seasons at the tail end of what I can only assume is the end of Mike Davis's head coaching career. The last 2 years, the crappy ones. Like, it's amazing that's endurance, man. That has to make you freaking hardcore to do that. For sure.
Jerry Rupp, it was a wonderful guy to talk to, by the way. He's he's got just a good vibe. He's really, he'll share information and ideas with you. But what's interesting is that he coaches Mike Davis
he probably knows everything.
Yeah,
that's probably why Doug likes him so much.
He knows a lot, but yeah, he coached with Mike Davis at Indiana and at UAB, and the reason he came back is that he's really good with the offensive sets. And he didn't say this to me, but I just got the impression is that they were focused on trying to get Antoine Davis the all-time scoring record, and so you bring in the guy that is like the offensive wizard, and he's got Green Bay's offense. Their offense is beautiful, like generally speaking.
Sure. Absolutely.
Super patient. They find guys in their spots. They like guys who play to their strengths, and they don't really ever do anything stupid.
That's true.
That's Kerry Rupp's fingerprints all over it. Anyone else we got to talk about?
It absolutely shows. What do we got to talk about? Yeah.
Anyone else? I don't know where we're at. We talked about Robert Morris. We're talking about Youngstown. Northern Kentucky 1-1 on the week.
Northern Kentucky, who again, Northern Kentucky is such a weird bird because it's like, they'll rip off 3 games in a row like they did, and then turn around and they just can't get it together against Youngstown State. And this is a Youngstown State team, I might add. They beat by 15 at Truist Arena back in January, and for a good chunk of that game, and they tried, and again, Northern Kentucky ran into the same problem Cleveland State ran into, in that they dug too big a hole to get out of. And
when you shoot 30%, when you shoot 30% with 18 turnovers, I mean, O'Day was 6-23 in this game. You're digging a massive hole. I feel like for Northern Kentucky right now, it's definitely the Forrest Gump. What's the famous Forrest Gump line, as Mom says?
Life is like a box of chocolates. You don't even know what you're going to get.
Yeah, Norse basketball is like a box of chocolates.
Bubba, no.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, they definitely are just, you go from winning by 16 to losing by 6.
You know what's crazy? I actually did look. Theoretically, they still have a shot at a home game, but a lot's got to happen. I mean, a lot for them to get a 5 seed. A lot has got to happen, and I don't think that's good. A lot's going to happen to the point where it's like, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think one of the scenarios includes somebody losing the IU Indy, and I don't see that happening either.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting to me about with the Horizon League tournament format this year is now you really want a 3 or better because you're going to avoid a whole extra game.
Oh, absolutely.
I look at Green Bay sitting there in the 5 seed. Okay, yeah, currently in the 5 seed, they're going to play a home game. If the season ended now, they would play, Fort Wayne, who they swept this season. Maybe that's in theory they play Fort Wayne. Maybe that's good for them. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But what I do know is that gets you the benefit of going to Indianapolis a day early. And so that 3 seed, where Oakland and Robert Morris and Wright State, where they're living right now, that's the rare air that you want to have in my mind. Not 4 and 5, even though it'd be a good season and they're going to win 12 or 13 games, depending on the team to,
Sure.
Be in the top 4. Can you imagine being Detroit and maybe ending the season at, 12 and 8 and having to play a whole extra game in the conference tournament versus Oakland? I mean, like that would be a kick in the pants.
Entirely possible. But one of the things that I do find, it's and again, it's pretty funny that we're at the end of the season and we see who's kind of risen. And we'll talk about this next week once the season's up. Once the regular season's up, it's amazing to see that. Always amazing to like look at what you thought about in the preseason and then what you see coming into real life. And I know there are some ones that we hit on and some that we absolutely missed on, like big time. And why is it Milwaukee? But still, that's kind of the name of the game. And I'm just glad I look smart about Detroit Mercy and Green Bay.
Yeah, I will. I think I'll be calling in sick to the edition of the Horizon Roundtable where we review what happened versus what we thought would happen, because I've had some big misses on my preseason predictions. But whatever.
Well, you hit on Cleveland State. I was
okay.
Kind of mad at you about that at the time, but I guess you were right.
Yeah,
I couldn't face the truth, Jim. I couldn't face the truth.
Well,
I was shamed so much. Anyway, but
my barometer for any preseason pick is if the fan base of that team is thinking, oh, we might be like the 8th place team, then that means you're probably the last place team or one of them. But that's neither here nor there.
I'm sorry. What fan base? I mean, sorry. Except for the ones who are patrons, Cleveland State fans who are patrons, the quiet ones. You're all quiet. I get it, except for John. We appreciate your patronage. We appreciate you. That you are the biggest. You are the fan base who are the highest number. Who are the highest percentage of our patrons. I think basically what we've done is we pretty much anybody who is a Cleveland State fan who's not a knob is either donated or is a patron. Period. And we thank you all for that. Period.
That's amazing. I think that's fantastic. Supporting the work of the Horizon Roundtable.
It absolutely is. Again, if you're a Cleveland State fan and you're not a knob, horizonroundtable.com/donate, patreon.com/horizonroundtable. Of course, no knob would actually get through near the end of this and actually do any of that. But, I've known that for years.
Alrighty.
So that is gonna do it, I think, unless we missed something. I feel like we missed something. Did we miss something?
Yeah. No, I look at, we talked about, indirectly we missed Purdue Fort Wayne, but they had an 0-2 week, and I'm sure they'd rather us not talk about them. Otherwise, we did. Otherwise, we covered pretty much everybody else.
I will say this: Corey Hadnot I think Corey Hadnot still my pick for Player of the Year at this point. It is either him or Brody Robinson. I flipped a coin. It's Corey Hadnot. So there you go. Giving away my stuff, but it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the challenging part, I think, for anybody, when you're picking them, is like, okay, where is your team going to finish? It's tough to be the Player of the Year and be 6th place. At the end of the day,
you know what? Purdue Fort Wayne has an opportunity to be in a 5-way tie for 2nd place. So there
you go.
They got to be Wright State to do it, but it's possible.
It's funny when you think about how things have shaken out here. 2 months ago, the Player of the Year probably would have been the Freshman of the Year, and then he got hurt and never regained a starting spot. But it was good to see Michael Cooper kind of coming back on today. He had 19 points. I know they lost, but he has 6 of 12 shooting, had 19 points. So at least But yeah, I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
funny because
Well,
he's not even freshman. I'm not. Yeah, I don't, he wasn't even the best freshman on the on the floor against in that game. That was Darius Livingston. He was outstanding,
just a little 24
outstanding.
piece, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Absolutely. They
Just
have
dropped
it's
it like it
yeah
was nothing.
because Robert Boris doesn't have Albert Vargas, and Darius Livingston has gone in there, and the way he has played has definitely negated any of the effects they would have potentially had in the with Vargas's absence. He's just been doing outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because how the effective injuries, the Michael Cooper injury sent him to the bench, and he's been working to get back into into like a heavy. I mean, he's played heavy minutes, but like be the same
Oh,
guy he
sure.
was before. Whereas you talk about
Yeah.
Livingston, Albert Vargas getting hurt has created an opportunity for Livingston to step, to
True,
be
and
even better
Livingston
than what he
himself
was.
also got hurt at a certain point in time during the season, which affected him a little earlier in the season, and so that's kind of now he's back. Now he's kind of gotten back into form and has done outstanding for them. And at a point in time again where Robert Morris is just on a heater for sure. Mo Bobby.
You know,
All right.
I love
Yep.
that they're making making it where they needed to be. Honestly,
Yes.
like that's one of the things that when you look at the league, if Wright State doesn't win this thing, or maybe Oakland, I mean, we're as a league staring at a trip to Dayton if it's not Wright State or Oakland. More than likely. I mean, you're going to need help to get off of that bottom 16 seeds.
Oh,
So
sure.
Robert Morris playing well. They've really improved all their metrics because they had a decent non-conference. So it's with two more wins, maybe that gives the league a second bullet in the chamber of making it into the regular field and getting a chance at a regular W in the horizon or in the NCAA tournament. So
Absolutely. All right, well, that's gonna wrap it up. Next week we get to talk postseason. Yeah, looking forward to that. But until then, HorizonRoundtable.com. That's where you can find all of our previous podcast episodes, not just this one, but the preview podcast, as well as all of our articles. And by the way, again, if you have any questions about the legal drama that's going on at IU Indy, we have all the documents there. HorizonRoundtable.com. You can pull us up where podcasts are available, and of course, you can pull us up on your Amazon or Google devices. So tune in next week. Until then, thank you all for listening.